show. We are going to have a great show for you today. What are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about several things, and here it is. Let me put it up on the screen what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about today progressive Democrat Molly Cook in Houston area, newly elected Texas SD 15 state senator. I mean, I think I'm so proud of this young lady. She is a young woman, which is what we need, young blood inside of the young blood inside of the state legislature. And you know what? It's starting to happen. We've said this had to happen to get all those old fogies out of there so that we can have some new blood taking care of business in there. Likewise, remember when Trump said a foreign country's Medicare for all is better than our healthcare system? Does anybody remember that? Well, guess what? Somebody dug up one of my very, very, very old blogs and found that I had written about that in 2017. So I kind of refreshed that piece and brought it back because it is nice hearing that every so often we can get a truth. After the several thousand lies, we can get a truth out of El Señor Trump. Then, of course, there is Tim Scott. The embarrassment. I don't know how best to talk about the embarrassment that a Tim Scott represents to so many of us. But Tim Scott is an embarrassment that is hard to fathom. And I tell you, folks, it is hard. And when I say it is hard, I really mean that whenever we talk about these issues, it is hard to see that this guy can go home to his loved ones, go home to anybody of substance with the way that he is. I mean, it is just anytime I think about it, I get so disappointed that I don't want to. You don't want to hit up on it. But anyway, I will. So okay, let's go ahead and get busy. All right, we're going to go ahead and start by saluting everybody that's in the chat right now. Bruce Pollard from Kingwood, Texas is in the house. Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood is in the house. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain is in the house. We also have Lee Grant from Montgomery County. We also have May Wood from Long Beach, California. And we have the venerable Michael Rudnin, AVQ from Brooklyn, New York. So we're represented on the East Coast. We're represented on the West Coast. We're representative on the Gulf Coast. I mean, we are represented on all coasts. We just need somebody up there in what touches Canada, North Dakota, I believe. Did I get my geography right? Map of the U.S. Let's get the map of the U.S. to make sure that I am not screwing up what I just said. But if we look at what's a northern most, I got it right. I tell you, those of us who were born elsewhere, we know the geography of the United States. What are the border states? That is Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Will Wisconsin be considered one? Even though it has that piece of Michigan on? Yes, it would be. New York, Vermont, also New Hampshire and Maine. A lot of border states that's out there, but we don't really talk about those too much, right? Let's see. Bruce Pollard said, Tim Scott, so careful to not cross Mr. Trump. Nope. Can't do that, Tim. Melanie Keelan, it was great seeing you at Ask Egberto Anything on Saturday. That was great seeing you over there at our chat. And yes, that's an old one, but it's something that it has some rationale behind it. So that's one of the reasons I want people to kind of listen to it, kind of take a look at it. I think it is important. But our big story, of course, that occurred over this week, Molly Cook, a young woman who won the election here in Texas. And I think I am going to start it with our audience hasn't built yet, but the YouTube is starting to build. But let's go ahead and start with Molly Cook, and then we'll move on to the other subjects afterward. Because like I said, I'm very impressed with what this young lady was able to do with her crowdsourcing of her campaign and much others. So let's go ahead and get that started. Welcome to another edition of Politics Done Right. Today we are honored to have the newly elected state senator for District 15, Molly Cook. Molly Cook is a nurse. Molly Cook is an activist. Molly Cook is somebody who has engaged her community and did politics the way politics should be done. Welcome to Politics Done Right. Molly Cook, how are you doing this afternoon?
We're doing just great. Thank you so much for asking. Thanks for having me on.
Well, let me tell you, as soon as I checked that race and I saw that you were winning the race in a landslide, it kind of made me pretty happy. And the reason why is that you beat the machine. How did you do that?
Well, it's been a long road of really hard work and showing up over and over again, authentically, bringing home wins, even as a volunteer organizer, and just knocking a ton of doors and raising and spending a lot of money in the district.
But I tell you what, Molly, a lot of people would give that answer. Okay, it has to be a bit more than that. That's a political answer. I want. Let me suggest something to you. I have not seen a candidate crowdsource as you had. You crowdsourced your campaign, and you made people be a part of that campaign, and you had people all over showing that they had skin in the game. Let's get that answer in. Let's get that as you did it, because I think it is a pattern that other people running from the grassroots in the progressive space need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like a political answer, but it honestly is quite just exactly the truth. Of course, we raised a lot of money from a lot of people, but I think it's because they want to see a bedside nurse in the Capitol. And I think it's because they want to see someone who is young and honest and authentic and means everything that they say going to the Capitol to fight for them. And none of it, there's just never a shortcut. It's always hard work. And crowdsourcing by already being a part of the organizing community was really valuable. I think having put in a lot of work on the front end for the type of wins that the movement organizing community wants to see was, of course, just how I even ran in 22, right? And so having that kind of support and those kind of connections early on were important. But then you also have to spend hours and hours and hours on the phone with people explaining, here's who I am, here's the vision that I've been shaping with people at the doors for over 2 years now. Are you willing to invest in it, and ask really honestly? And so I think it's a combination of having shown up and asked for nothing for a really long time, and then when it's time to ask for something, to have something to give back.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. Now, additionally, I recall looking at your Twitter feed and watching you making trips to Austin, watching you bringing the case to Austin, watching you engage on the floor and engage on the people. There are many people who want to run for an office because they want to run for an office. You don't always have people that go out there and do the footwork that it takes to be really not just there's community organizing, and then there's turning that into the politics of getting things done. And I think that is what I've seen you do very well thus far. Now, tell the audience what you intend to do. Now you're one of 30, how many senators?
31.
one of 31 senators. How are you going? You have a mission. First of all, tell us what your mission is.
So the mission day one right now is solidify this win by winning again on the 28th. Mm-hmm. That is the number one priority for me and for the campaign. And that has to be what we're focused on. That being said, there are interim charges out there. There's work to be done. There's work with the party to be done. There's lots of connections to begin building and working on. And we need to start getting ready for legislation to be filed day one. So I'm going to do a little bit of this straddling the currently elected and the still running role for the next 22 days. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as we went on the 28th, then we can really lean in and get started on the priorities of the district.
Now, the 28th is going to be, the difficulty is that you have to bring people back out again. It is crazy the way we have all these different elections that are occurring, and now you have to bring them out again for yet the same two people running for the office, which, given the magnitude of your win, I think the electorate is you've actually presented to the electorate a vision that they want to see. So I don't foresee there being a problem there. But still, work has to be done to get people out to the polls. You are a nurse. You are in the middle of the beast. Many of us understand how we have a failed healthcare system. What are you going to, can you take your expertise there? And let's say starting from letting the Senate understand we need some sort of an expansion to the Medicaid expansion that's already there for us, that we're already paying for it. Is that going to be one of the things you work on?
Absolutely. Medicaid expansion is the number one priority that will have a direct impact on people's health and safety across the entire state. So that is a huge priority. And it's also a priority of pretty diverse coalition of folks who are clued into healthcare. So it's a priority of Tex PAC and several other of the House and Senate members. So I'm really excited to hopefully be able to lend a little more expertise and energy to that.
It seems to me that even though, let's say the Republican side of the aisle, which is pretty large in Texas, has an issue with Medicare expansion, it seems to me like, from being a nurse, you can actually show to these folks, your hospitals are closing. How can we work together to come up with a plan to get this done? Is that on your radar? And do you have contacts within the rural areas that are getting hurt the most?
We'll find out about what exactly the landscape looks like, but I think that you're hitting the nail on the head, and it's going to be really important to reach the people. And that's what I want to bring, is that grassroots approach. I understand that the person maybe sitting in that seat is opposed to Medicaid expansion, but does their district really understand what this means for all of us, and that we're leaving billions of dollars on the table for a variety of perhaps motivations? And do people understand that? And can we find a way to communicate that to people, to reach them with the good news that we can expand Medicaid in this state, we can save lives, we can reopen rural hospitals, we can attract physicians to rural communities or low-income communities, et cetera. So that is going to be a number one priority day one. And on May 28th, I can't wait to start making those calls.
Two questions left. And the first one is, and this one is on the healthcare subject again. What I find with many progressives, many folks are out there, is that I don't think they sufficiently engage that side that you just spoke about, to talk to the people and let them be an advocate and put your face out there as far as this is what we need. I don't see that a lot. Is that something that we're going to get out of you? Are you going to go into Timbuktu as you're doing? I know you have your district, but are you going to go out there and really fish for these people?
I think that a lot of people would say that the divisiveness right now is a problem, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, no matter how you vote, no matter where you're at in the state. And I see grassroots organizing as a way to really bridge that gap. And a lot of the time when we don't see change starting from the top, we can bring about change starting from the bottom. And so I'm fully confident and really excited to start reaching out statewide to people and finding out, who's in favor of these policies and who wants to be a part of the machine that we're going to use to get some movement on these.
Last question. What would you have liked me to ask you that I didn't?
I think just reminding people that we've got to get back out and vote again in the runoff to solidify this win and make sure that we really do get a nurse and a community organizer in that seat for the next full term so that we can really dig in and get to work. So, find us at Molly for Texas on social media, mollyfortexas.com, make a donation, help us get out there and knock on doors. Just to share, we knocked on 23,000 doors since the primary just for the special election and made 32,000 attempts overall. So we will need help again reaching people by phone and at the doors. And I'm so excited to win on the 28th and to begin serving this district.
Newly elected State Senator Molly Cook, District 15. It's been my honor to speak to you. And I can't tell you how proud we are of what you've attained.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Egberto. Really appreciate you.
And yes, she did it. And that's what we need to have a lot more of our, young people do. They have to go out there and they have to, how should I put this? They've got to go out there and take it. That's what I need to say. They need to go out there and simply take it. Take it on like she did. Take it on like she did. Anyway, folks, let's go ahead and continue. Let's see what my friends are saying on the chat right now. Paul Fleming says 50 major corporations have contributed $23 million to election deniers since January 6th. Capitol attack. They include AT&T, Comcast, Walmart, and Microsoft. Corporate America will sell out our democracy, decency, and rule of law, all for a tax break. I agree 100%. That's the definition of capitalism. Paul Fleming says, your regular reminder that if not for the Trump and Bush tax cuts, federal revenues would keep pace with federal spending indefinitely. Instead, these tax cuts have added $10 trillion to the debt. The so-called party of fiscal responsibility is full of it, and it has always been full of it. And, the problem that we have as well is that our media doesn't tell you. Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia is in the house. I didn't give you a good salute this morning. Yes, Bruce, I realize that Wisconsin borders Canada via the lake. But that's why I was hesitating to say that. I think as well, Michigan, but they have an underground tunnel that goes, I think it's from Detroit. There is a part of the United States that is actually north of Canada. Think about that. There's a part of the United States that is north of Canada. Whenever you think Canada is north of the United States, but a piece of Canada is south of the United States. I learned that when I went out to Michigan for a Netroots convention. Anyway, Molly has until December, right? No. It depends. There's another election on the 28th between Molly and the same person she ran to take over Whitmer's position. So that continues. But it's even more. If she wins that, she also has to go up against a Republican in November for that SD15 seat. But I don't think there is any doubt who will win that SD15 seat. Whichever Democrat wins out of who comes out of SD15 will win that seat. All right, let's see what else we got here. E2247 is reminding us that today is day 230 since 7 October 2023, and at least 34,735 Palestinians have been killed. Let's put it in the right words. Have been genocided. 52 persons more than the day 212. Plus at least 78,108 wounded, 90 persons more than day 12, is equal to 112,843 casualties for the war thus far. That's a large percentage of the population. As he says, we're U.S. to be in the situation of Palestine now, 213 days into genocide by Israel. USA has proportionally killed 7,049,227 in the U.S. population. So what has been killed, the amount of human beings killed in Gaza is equivalent to us having north of 7 million Americans killed. That's a shame. House Mouse, welcome to Politics Done Right. What's your city and state? I like to try to remember everybody's city and state so that the next time I see them, I can say, hi, yeah, from you know where. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Maywood says, okay, he's talking about misrepresentation. Yeah, I heard some misrepresentation. I even heard it from Democrats. I heard some Democrats talk about other Democrats supporting Hamas, meaning the kids who are protesting. And I think that is uncalled for, and I think that is wrong. I know Fetterman said that. Fetterman was interviewed on the Senate, in the halls of the Senate, and he had something to say about Hamas supporting Democrats. That, look, I supported Fetterman, and I likely would still support Fetterman. He's a good progressive voting person, but when it comes to Israel, he's completely off base. Fetterman is completely off base. He sounds like an AIPAC sycophant. He sounds just like how Hakeem Jeffries yesterday on 60 Minutes sounded like an AIPAC sycophant. And even the interviewer said, "My God, even brother Jewish Senator Schumer was able to say Netanyahu is wrong. Netanyahu needs to be gone." And you can't even say Netanyahu did something wrong. Hakeem Jeffries, what the hell is wrong with you? She didn't quite say it that way, but she meant it. And you could watch it in his face. He's strong on all the points about what progressives want, progressive needs. And when it comes to Israel, he sounds like a complete Neanderthalistic sycophant. It was embarrassing to watch Hakeem Jeffries on 60 Minutes. I'm sorry. He was just a step below Tim Scott. And talking about Tim Scott, before I get to the rest of your stuff, which I promise you I will get to, and I will talk about Al Jazeera, which was shut down by Israel, talking about free press. By the way, that's what Trump will do to MSNBC and a few others if he's into power. He will get his FCC, which is under the executive, to close these guys down. But anyway, let's listen to Tim Scott, the embarrassment of a human being. Tim Scott, let's hear what he had to say. Tim Scott, one of the most profound embarrassments we have in the Senate, once again does it, carrying the water for Donald Trump. This is a guy who certified the election. He deep in his heart knew that the election was fair. He knew that the election, there was no significant problems with the election. And most of the problems where we had fraudulent votes in the election was conducted by Trump supporters who attempted to vote once, twice, more than once, twice, etc. So here is the deal. He goes on to meet the press and he's asked a simple question: will you accept the results of an election? And he turned himself into knots, not to show that he's accepting it. And by stating that specifically Trump will win and he will accept the election as Trump will win the election, it shows the full-blown fascist stance that the Republican Party is now taking. Listen to this, then we'll take it on the other side.
Let's talk about some of the headlines this week. In an interview, Mr. Trump this week again would not commit to accepting the election results of 2024 if he loses. He still hasn't conceded the last election. You, of course, did vote to certify the 2020 election results, and you've said, quote, "it was not stolen." Why would you join a ticket with someone who believes the exact opposite on this critical point?
I think we have to listen to what President Trump said and not what the reporters said that he actually said. Here's one of the things that he's been very clear, and even talking about the situation in Wisconsin, what he said was he expects there to be an honest election. He expects the results to be clear and for him to be successful. I expect him to be successful as well. There's no doubt that when you look at the polls across our country, the one thing that is crystal clear that the American people now having a contrast between 4 years of Joe Biden versus 4 years of Donald Trump, they're really excited to get back to the Trump years. And so I expect the election to be fair, and I expect Donald Trump to be our next president.
In terms of what he said, he specifically said, if it's not fair, as you're saying, you have to fight for the right of the country. And just this week, he said that he won Wisconsin falsely, Senator. So again, to the point, you voted to certify the election results of 2020. It's the exact opposite of what you said and did after 2020. Why would you want to be on a ticket with someone where there's such a fundamental difference?
There is clear facts here. President Trump himself said he expects this election to be fair, he expects it to be honest, and he expects to win. That's what the presidential candidate should expect, and I expect the exact same thing. And frankly, the American people agree with him. This is an issue that is not an issue, so I'm not going to make it an issue.
Well, Senator, will you commit to accepting the election results of 2024? Bottom line.
At the end of the day, the 47th president of the United States will be President Donald Trump. And I'm excited to get back to low inflation, low unemployment.
Wait, Senator, yes or no? Yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024 no matter who wins?
That is my statement.
But is it just yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024?
I look forward to President Trump being the 47th president. Kristen, you can ask him multiple times.
Senator, just a yes or no answer.
So the American people will make the decision.
But I don't hear you committing
for President Trump. That's clear.
I don't hear you committing to the election results.
Here's the challenge.
Will you commit to accepting the election results?
This is why so many Americans believe that NBC is an extension of the Democrat Party. At the end of the day, I've said what I've said, and I know that the American people, their voices will be heard. And I believe that President Trump will be our next president. It's that simple.
But senators, you know, the hallmark of our democracy is that both candidates agree to a peaceful transfer of power. So I'm asking you as a potential VP nominee, will you accept to commit to the election results in this election cycle, no matter who wins? Just simply yes or no.
I expect President Trump to win the next election. Listen, I'm not going to answer your hypothetical question when in fact, I believe the American people are speaking today on the results of the election. And if it continues for the next 6 months, we find ourselves in a great position where we get back to another century of American prosperity. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
Tim Scott should be ashamed of himself. These are folks that talk about being constitutionalists, reading the Constitution by the word, believing in the rule of law. Yet, most of these people continue. When I say these people, I mean the MAGA supporters of Donald Trump with power. Guys like Tim Scott. They go ahead and completely go against what this nation should be all about. Well, as it turns out, like I've mentioned several times, forget about the polls today. Americans are going to wake up and understand that what they have is ineptitude by braggadocio, and they will not again support that. I continue to believe that as people get more into the politics, as people get into what has to be said, as Democrats, which are the only ones who could lose this election for themselves, get aggressive, not play defense, but play offense. As they do that, I think there's going to be a big turn in the case as it was during, let's say, Reagan's sad win over Jimmy Carter. But we'll see. Yes, we will see. Yes, we will see what it's all about, folks. We will see what it's all about. But do again remember, the Tim Scotts of the world presents what can only be agreed to be or seen as a clear and present danger. I repeat, a clear and present danger. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, let's see. Where do we go? Let's get back to some of the chat. Let's see what folks are saying. Para ver qué estoy buscando aquí, para ver lo que está diciendo. Para ver. Lee Grant, Melanie Keelan, all right. Eric Hayes says, Harris County commissioners questioned for flood. Why is the Lake Houston area, which drains an area bigger than Harris County and which has the most severe flooding in the country, getting so little help from Harris County? We've received only $39 million out of that $1.9 billion spent since Harvey on flood mitigation. That's 2%. I think you better go read Mr. Bob Hayek's blog post. I don't think those numbers are correct. I think I read something else there recently. And the other thing is how were these apportioned? Harris County was really held back from getting a lot of the dollars that it was supposed to be allocated. And that was done by our Republican senators who, well, that's a long story. All right, Michael Rodney says, sadly, Al Jazeera has fallen in reputation lately. While they're focused on a humanitarian foreign policy coverage, they failed fact checks recently. I still like this source and disagree with Israel's decision to limit the free press. To be clear, what Israel is doing by way of destruction and genocide is so much worse than any coverage of it. Media bias fact check. Overall, we rate Al Jazeera left-center bias based on story selection that slightly favors the left and mixed on for factual reporting due to failed fact checks that were not corrected and misleading extreme editorial bias. I would love to see what the fact check failures were. A bias that favors Qatar. Yeah, that I can see that. I would love to see those areas of fact check because I don't read them enough to have found those areas that need fact check. But media bias fact check, they really do their homework when they're judging. After all, hey, they judge us as highly accurate. So what can I say? Meaning they judge EgbertoWillies.com, Politics Done Right, as highly accurate. All right, continue. We got Faravid. Paul says, Judge Merchan addresses Trump directly regarding his continued violation of the gag order. It appears that $1,000 fines are not serving as a deterrent. The last thing I want to do is to put you in jail. You are the former president of the United States and possibly the next president as well. Don't say that, but there are many reasons why incarceration is truly a last resort for you. To take that step would be disruptive to the proceedings. But at the end of the day, I have a job to do. Yep. All right. One other thing, Michael Rodden said, Egberto, it's an honest question. If you share values with someone on just about every issue except Israel and Gaza, are they still an ally? Yes, they are. Of course they are. Let me tell you one of the issues I have with those of us that are progressives. If you look at the way a lot of people on the right work, they could disagree on 80% of stuff, but they hate liberals. They hate progressives. No reason to. If you ask them in a certain way, you see they like progressive values, but they hate liberals. And they will unite together to destroy liberals. Even though they only enjoy agreements on 80% of stuff. What progressives have to realize is, unlike those kind of folk, those politicians, we agree on the vast majority of things. Most of the things that trip us up are little. Let me give a good example. You guys know that I talk about Medicare for all. I believe in national Medicare for all. But we have yet to be able to attain it. We have a bill in Congress, but it's going nowhere. So other people have attempted to do Medicare for all on the state level. There are people that complain about progressives. Both of these are progressive items, one at the state level, one at the national level. Instead of these people working in parallel and whoever gets theirs first, support them, push it, they form factions. Oh, you don't want to do this because that is not how it's best done. It's best done if we get it all at once or nothing. And the other folks I'm not working with them because they don't want to work with us on a piece by piece basis. You move the needle forward and you help people, you get them better. It may start, okay, otherwise. it may start differently. But folks, don't let, Obama used to say it, even though sometimes Obama really pissed me off, but Obama used to say it. He said, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, or something of that nature. So, Michael Rudnin, the answer is the following. Let me say, if you disagree with somebody in one thing, two things, or whatever, disagree with them, give them a hug and move on. We agree on all these other things. Okay? We agree on other things. Michael Rudnin also says, just to be clear, the point of this honest question, there's a lot of people who still have a blind spot when it comes to the defense of Israel, despite the indefensible. Yes, they do. And, we have to work with them. And we have to realize that a lot of it has been indoctrination of their belief. Israel also sells this point to a lot of its citizens. We're under attack. Everybody wants to kill us. So we're under attack. The reality is that's not true anymore. I could sit down and live my life. I'm a Black Latino Caribbean man. That's why I wrote the book, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. Let me tell you why I brought that up. There are people who just hate me for the way I look. There are people who just hate me for the way I speak. There are towns or counties, if I am in that county at night by myself, I'm likely more in trouble than a Jewish person being in that county at that night. And I am not going to go around America, blowing stuff up because people hate me and preemptively killing people because they may kill me. But that is what we have with the state of Israel. Okay? Black people and people of, there is a hell of a Black-Jewish alliance that should always be maintained because they share a shared experience of mass killing of their people. Okay? They share that experience. And while Jewish folks would say, well, we were exterminated, we would say, well, in the transatlantic slave trade, we were expendable. They figured they pack us up in a ship and they figure they'll bring back 70% of the people. The rest are just trash that you throw in the ocean to feed the shark for those who don't make it. And of course, survival of the fittest says, hey, if you can make it over in that nasty trip from Africa to the promised land, man, you're going to be a hell of a worker when you come to the United States or to Brazil or to Panama or to Jamaica or wherever it is that we landed. The fact of the matter is you can't live your life wanting to hurt others before they hurt you or assuming that they hurt you or don't like you. But many, a Jewish friend of mine as well, they have it inculcated in their minds that since they are under attack, that PTSD of the Holocaust, etc., which is understandable, right? But there's still also the Holocaust of how many of us are treated. That's why I wrote this. I said, in as much as I can see all those treatments as well, I keep my smile on, journey forward, and you do what you have to do to survive. I get you, brother Rudnin. Hug on that person. Hug on those people who are making those statements that you're talking about. Don't break the relationship. Hell, I don't even break the relationship with MAGA. Okay? I won't break my relationship with my MAGA friends. Hell, I got relatives that are MAGA. And I'm not going to let politicians and ideology break my relationships. It won't happen. It will not happen. Then they win. No va a pasar esa vaina. Okay? All right. House Mouse says, House Mouse, you still haven't told me where you're from, I don't think. House Mouse says, one inevitable worries that Bibi will attempt some false flag attack. He will, not unlike the ones in Buenos Aires in 92, 94. And will play right along like Argentina back then, or Chile, Pinochet. Okay. All right. Michael does Egberto, some conservatives view the Constitution the same way they view the Bible. It's a document that they believe in, yet have never read. And not only that, it's a flawed document. It always surprised me that so many are flawed to it. The fact that the Constitution had to have so many amendments told you that originally it was flawed anyway, and we're fixing the flaws, right? It's not blasphemy to tell that about the Constitution. All right, continuing. Let's continue. House Mouse, check who's actually typing. Restream bot is just repeating comments from FB and Twitch over YouTube. Yeah, that's how it works. All right, continuing. I'm scrolling down. Utah's safety net for the poor is so intertwined with the LDS Church that individual bishops often decide who receives assistance. Some deny help unless a person goes to services or get baptized. That would be bad. But by the way, just exposure. My mother is Mormon, and she really enjoys the church. I tell you what, it's interesting that the church is a socialist enterprise, right? She enjoys the church. It's amazing. And I think it works out well with them, the way they have the camaraderie among folks, etc. They take care of each other. It's a good thing. Now, I don't think you should mix church and state. But while I disagree with the church and the racial connotations that the church has had for its inception, of course, God told them to start liking black people later on. What can I say? But she enjoys it, and hey, to each his own, right? All right, Michael Radin says, Egberto, conservatives have been made to hate liberals due to culture war issues that don't actually affect their lives personally, where they want to impose their warped beliefs onto other people's lives. Conservatives also believe in hierarchical societies where them and theirs are on top of everybody else, rather than a more egalitarian societies that their opposition wants. And Michael, it could actually go a bit deeper than that, right? Because you said that they want to control, they have these cultural beliefs, but the cultural beliefs that they have, generally they can't even live up to those particular cultural beliefs. Think about it. All these things that they go out and they claim that they support, they don't even live up to those purported beliefs that they have. So you tell me. All right, Mike Cisak from Missouri is in the house. He says, Maywood, well, the only anti-so-called Palestinian is because they want to kill every Jew there is, just like Hitler wanted to do. The Gaza people are just as radical as Hamas. There is no meeting halfway with someone who wants to kill you. If you believe that, you need to get out of Missouri and go speak to Palestinians all over the world, okay? In Panama, Palestinians and Jews live together. Jews go eat Palestinian food, and Palestinians go eat Jewish food in their restaurants. In Panama, Jews live harmoniously. In the United States of America, Jews live harmoniously. In Jews and Palestinians. In Europe, many places, Jews and Palestinians live harmoniously. After Hitler did what he did to Jews in Germany, it has become illegal to have any negative connotation towards Jews in Germany. It's time for people to wake up and stop believing the narrative out there. In Israel, Jews and Palestine break bread. In Gaza, Jews and Palestine break bread. Now, the political framework is where a whole lot of this stuff happens. And then, of course, there are the sycophants who go ahead and lead it. I wish more people would get out there and not just take things monolithically. Okay? It's important. Egberto agreed. The Bible is a flawed document. Absolutely so. Absolutely so. Egberto, it's why I said they want to impose their beliefs onto others, never said they live as they believe. Blind hypocrisy is common among conservatives. Mike Cisak says, Egberto, when I was in the military, I went to many of the Middle East countries. So about over 90% there wants to. You don't have those numbers. And being in the military, being over there doesn't tell you much. I have a lot of friends from Panama who served the United States in the military and have been all over the world. And many of them comes and they tell you the same story. It is what happens many a times is you use your own prejudices to interpret the prejudices of others. But anyway, we have one more video to show. And this one is about, remember when Trump used to love Medicare for all. Remember the time when Trump accidentally supported Medicare for all? When Trump told you that a foreign country had a better healthcare system than ours at the time that he was trying to do a Trump care, which of course was also a failure. Check this out.
Minister of Australia just spoke about the bill that was passed and about the Senate's role in this. Take a listen.
Could get maybe even better. It's a very good bill right now. The premiums are going to come down very substantially. The deductibles are going to come down. It's going to be fantastic health care. Right now, Obamacare is failing. We have a failing health care. I shouldn't say this to our great gentleman and my friend from Australia, because you have better health care than we do.
They do have. They have universal health. I thought you would.
Okay. Wait a minute, Chris. All right. The president has just said it. That's great. Let's take a look at the Australian healthcare system, and let's move. Maybe let's take a look at the Canadian health system or systems throughout Europe. Thank you, Mr. President. Let us move to a Medicare for all system that does what every other major country on earth does: guarantee health care to all people at a fraction of the cost per capita that we spend. Thank you, Mr. President. We'll quote you on the floor of the Senate.
Well, and this to me seems a really important lesson here, which is they've made a lot of promises. They're promises that are contradictory. Deductibles will come down, premiums will come down, more people will be covered. The president said during the campaign he's not going to cut Medicaid. Clearly, they're going to cut Medicaid. You know, it seems to me that ultimately reality is going to matter in the end here.
Do you think? Well, maybe. I would certainly hope so. Look, we're living in a crazy world. I mean, what this guy just said is preposterous. Everything he said is totally false. But I think when the American people catch on, look, their last bill, as you will recall, was incredibly unpopular. The American people did not want to go forward with that legislation. This bill will be even more unpopular. What our job is right now politically is to rally the American people, to work with doctors and nurses and hospitals who will be slammed. Rural hospitals will be decimated by this legislation, shut down. People will lose their jobs. We have the time to do that, and that's what we've got to do.
Now, folks, when Trump forgets that he is on stage, every so often, the truth kind of comes out. And here he points out, hey, Australia has a Medicare for all system, a single payer system, a universal healthcare system, which is what they have, which he admits it's better than what we have. And why is it again that Democrats let Trump get away with saying how great things were under his administration, how great the economy? Look, Democrats have to stop fighting from a defensive position. They need to accelerate the activeness. They need to accelerate and point out that they are the ones with the answer, and they need to do it. They do not need to be on the defensive. The policies that progressives support are the policies Americans want. And when you get even conservatives in the back end, they know that the policies Americans want are progressive policies. And that is why they've turned into a fascist party. Because again, they know that with a country where majority rules, they cannot win. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where
it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.
Absolutely. Help us, please join. And you know what? You know what is finally there? I finally got my book. What is it called? Tribulations of an Afro-Caribbean Latino Man. I finally got the audio book out, right? And let me get to my newsletter real quick. I should have put it up before while I was watching the thing, but sometimes you start watching the things and you forget as what is it, Substack, and you forget as you're doing this stuff. Oh, I really need to be doing this stuff to find this stuff for my peeps. All right, let's go ahead and tell you this. Let me put this on the screen here real quick. Guess what is shipping? Or not shipping, I have a free offer for anybody who goes ahead and become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. And how do you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter? Let me go ahead and tell you how you become a paid subscriber of our newsletter. You go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I'm giving away 10 free. If you become a paid subscriber, I'm giving away 10 free audiobooks of my new book, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man. So go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, sign up, and then I'm giving 10 copies of the audiobook. And here is the audiobook at Audible. Let me just show you that it's ready to go. You can get a little sample there, right? But it's ready to go. And for those of you who go ahead and, you know what? That's a long link, huh? Let me go ahead and see if I can get a shrink version of that link. Let's go ahead and do that. Shrink version of that link is this here. All right. Let's see. Ray is coming on. Let's get to Ray. Let's go to Ray. My brother Ray, talk to me, my friend.
Oh yes, brother Egberto. Real quick, on the book, I do have a confession. It's a beautiful paperback copy. I have tremendous trouble reading printed text. However, this offer is quite attractive to me.
No, well, with the
audiobook option.
I'll send you a link, my brother.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's crazy. I'm an excellent reader when I'm in public. I just actually co-hosted a town hall with Sean Tier and a gentleman from the Managed Assigned Council this weekend with my organization. So I don't have any problem reading out loud, but when I have to sit and read to myself, I get distracted. I'm so glad you got that option for me.
Yeah, so just drop me an email.
I will do that. I'll send it. I'll drop it to you. And where do you want me to drop it? Just to your text.
Yeah, no. Send it to info@politicsdoneright.com. info@politicsdoneright.com. And I'll send you a link. You subscribe to quite a few things that we do. So, send it for me and I'll just go ahead and send you the code. Okay.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that, Egberto. And I also want to speak on the Trump video. I find it quite cathartic to see Bernie Sanders laugh at that statement because he knows the irony of what
I know.
You know what I mean? Of what Trump said, maybe we should have a healthcare system like Australia, but he's also, in cohorts with the private healthcare companies, and we know, that's bullcorn if you ever call it. And yet, this man, who I call a broken clock, is right at least twice a day. He said something that now we can take that sound clip and exploit it. He said it, like Bernie said it. That was the president.
But you know what is so scary about that? It is so scary that these guys. I mean, when I said that I want to accuse the Texas politicians who prevented the passage of the Medicare expansion to the Affordable Care Act, I want them convicted as murderers because of all. And I'm not. People think I'm kidding when I say that, but the amount of Texans that have died for a program that is available to them, but that is restricted by their own government, right? The Republican fascist government of Texas have purposefully denied Texans that healthcare that they are already paying for, and that the federal government offers to the state. The first 3 years for free, and thereafter at 10%. They've denied that coverage. They should be put up on stage of murder. But then you also look at what Trump just said there. Trump acknowledges that the Australian healthcare system is better than what we have, a single payer system in Australia called Medicare for All as well, or Medicare in Australia, right? And what's so sad is he knows what he's doing is not what Australia is doing. He knows that we are killing people, and for them, it's nothing. It's nothing to them, Ray. It's absolutely nothing to them that they're killing people. That's why I interviewed the lady that I interviewed a few minutes ago, Molly Cook. That's why I so love that she got into office. She's a young woman, early 30s, and she got in as a Texas senator. And what we need to do, Ray, and people, you work with TOPS, and by the way, she was supported by TOPS. TOPS actually supported her. But what?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was block walking. So
there you go.
I just want to say, Molly, if you're listening, we're proud of you. We're glad that we could be a part of your success, and we know that we look forward to working with you. And I sat and listened to your vision of what you are able to bring to that position. So definitely, we're here in your corner.
I got to run. We're running out of time. But before that, Ray, remember to get your posse together again. She needs your help on the 28th and the pre-election as well, because it's not over yet. She needs to get the 4-year term. Right now, she just finishes Whitmire's term. She needs to finish her 4-year term by winning again on the 28th.
Well, if I have any say so, we will be in that race with her. So thank you again, Egberto.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day. And send me that email. I'll send you those codes, okay?
All right, I'll send it to you right now. Take care.
Thank you, my brother. All right, folks, we got to get out of here. Again, please go ahead and support the show. Go ahead and support the show. Please remember to go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Become a paid subscriber. The first 10 that I see, I'll send you an email with a code that gives you access to my what is it again? My audiobook for Tribulations of an Afro-Caribbean Latino Man. So sign up and I'll send you a free audible of the book. And let me go ahead and put that in the screen again. Bear with me one more time. Let me go ahead and put that in the screen again. Para ver, aquí está. Sign up at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. E22477 says, Egberto works solidly with the Black prophetic tradition we gained from his effort and work. Muchísimas gracias, mi amigo. Muchísimas gracias. Anyway, folks, I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
we spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please.